Hi dear beautiful Libras, welcome to my YouTube channel, and in this video I'm going to talk about the transits for the month of April. This year, April is quite busy. We're in the midst of the eclipse season, and we've got 4 events in April, and that is Mercury retrograde, solar eclipse in Aries, and then the rare conjunction of Uranus and Jupiter in Taurus. And finally, at the end of April, we're gonna have a full moon in Scorpio. So let's begin. And dear Libras, remember, this year is all about relationships and you, okay? It's like you and me kind of year for you, if that makes sense. And normally, like April is a time of when you are focused on relationships. In a way, this season is like your season because you are the sign of relationships, right? And in April, during Aries season, you have all these planets transiting your 7th house. So technically, like in a way, this is your season. And so let's begin. On the very first day of April, Mercury goes retrograde on the 27th degree of Aries. And Libras, this is your 7th house, your relationship house. So there will be a need to go back to something and get a clarification regarding the partnership. And what else? There's higher chance of miscommunication, misunderstanding, because Mercury rules communication. So during this period in April, I would say all of April, be mindful of how you express yourself, how you communicate what you intend to say, because there's this chance of miscommunication. You check your emails twice, before you send it. Make sure you attach that file. Make sure you untag the people who are not supposed to see that email. Don't accidentally send the email to the entire company and stuff. This is this kind of stuff that can happen during Mercury retrograde. And also another thing to remember is try not to sign contracts during Mercury retrograde. I would say all of April, try to avoid signing contracts because Mercury again rules those agreements, contracts, and so even if you do sign it in April, be mindful that the terms will kind of change later on. But to be honest, signing documents during Mercury retrograde are not always bad because last year I signed my work contract during Mercury retrograde and I was worried. I'm like, oh my God, does it mean I'll get fired or something? But no. So at the time of signing the contract, apparently the salary was being still negotiated. So they had me sign that contract with the old salary, and then later they updated it. It was the higher salary. So it's not always bad, but it can also be bad because there was a time 5 years ago when I signed a job contract during the Mercury retrograde, and I quit before the end of the school year. Yeah, that was 5 years ago. So there are many ways Mercury retrogrades can play out, and also Mercury retrogrades are the times when we experience delays and glitches in technology. So your phone might be acting up. There were times when my phone would slow or malfunctioning, apps being weird, some social media websites were down. Apps. Yeah, Mercury retrograde can do that. I know someone whose fridge broke during Mercury retrograde, so you get the idea. And another thing is, dear Libras, if you are planning to travel during Mercury retrograde, please know that the chances of flight delays, flight cancellations increase around this time. And so make sure you look up the airline policy for those, for flight delays, flight cancellations, because sometimes you can be reimbursed for those. And us publicly, we don't know that because they hide it in the terms and stuff in small letters. Yeah, but TikTok has plenty of videos where they explain those small things. And then also, if you're traveling, I need to mention that the luggage can be lost. So in order to avoid that, get one of those Apple tags for your suitcase. So in case it does get lost, you can easily find it and locate it. So yeah, another thing I need to mention about Mercury retrograde is that we ourselves tend to get lost a lot. Not not disappearing, but you're in a new city, you're trying to find places, you're using Google Maps, but you're still getting lost. That happened to me last year, and it was insane, frustrating. I was mad. Even though I was using the Google Maps, I was following the directions, still I could not find the place and stuff. And another thing is like we tend to become much more forgetful during Mercury retrograde. That is also a possibility. So, dear Libras, in April, kind of like create a mini checklist of the things you need to take with you before you leave the house or like any place. Because last year during Mercury retrograde, I forgot my house keys at work. I'm like, this never happened to me. Like, who forgets their work? I mean, who forgets their house keys at work? Like, so yeah, that was the effect of Mercury retrograde for me. And like, there were other things that I forgot and stuff. But anyway, you get the idea. So remember, major themes are like miscommunication, misunderstanding, forgetting things, delays, um, and so yeah, and also it can be about going back to something. Okay, like since this is happening in your house of relationships, maybe it's something like you postponed with your partner, and now you guys have to discuss that. Like go back to it and discuss and resolve it. Um, for others, maybe like an ex contacts out of nowhere because seventh house, going back and like yeah, from the past. Yeah, so that is also another possibility. And so I would say like Mercury in the seventh house, communicating regarding relationships. And remember, it's also like I should say, it's not always relationships, but it can also be about partnerships, like business partnerships, collaborations. That is also seventh house stuff. So this is it for Mercury retrograde, and after this, on April 4th or 5th, depending on where you live, Venus will enter Aries until April 29th. And so, dear Libras, again, this is your seventh house. So Venus's presence in there means that Venus feels very comfortable in there. Seventh house is Venus's house. And so relationships will become much more pleasant, much more smooth. Interacting with your partner, like achieving balance and compromise becomes much easier, even though Mercury is retrograde, but still, Venus's presence in there will be helpful, very helpful. And so, also, when Venus is in Aries, we all tend to become bolder, like more confident, more assertive. So, dear Libras, like, you might get hit on a lot more than usual around this time because other people will be feeling more brave to like approach you and stuff and ask you out. And so, this is it for Venus in Aries. Next, on April 8th, we have that solar eclipse in Aries on the 19th degree of Aries. So, dear Libras, those of you who have your rising sign on the 19th degree of Libra, or if you were born, like let's say October 12th, 13th, yeah, or 11th, yeah, that those of you are going to feel it the most. I'm not saying other Libras aren't going to feel it. All Libras are going to feel it. It's just those who were born around the 19th degree of Libra are going to feel it the most. And so this solar eclipse, again, it's happening in your relationship house. So this is very much at the time of relationships for you. Huge focus on relationships. And remember, dear Libras, this year North Node is in Aries, so that means like it's your partner that is like experiencing all these expansions, developments in their lives. In your case, it's more like supportive role this year. For you, when you were like the main character was like the eclipses in 2014 and 15. That's when the North Node was in Libra, but this time it's like the other way around. This time it's your partner's turn to like experience all this. But it doesn't mean nothing is going to happen in your life. You are still affected, especially like the lunar eclipse in Libra affected your image, your personality, like how you present yourself to the world, like how you see yourself. And now it's like about collaborating, compromising. Yeah, and so this year, like a lot of Libras are going to get married, like because of these eclipses. And so this solar eclipse in Aries opens opportunities for new relationships if you are single, advancement in relationship if you are already in a relationship, like taking the relationship to the next level. For some, it might be the time when they decide to commit to this person and make it official. For others, it might be the time when they move in with their boyfriend or girlfriend. For others, it might be the time when they get proposed to or they propose to their girlfriend or boyfriend, okay? And so for other Libras, it might be the time when they decide to have a child or find out they're pregnant or will have children this year. So this is the kind of time for you guys, dear Libras. these eclipses are like the milestone periods in your life, like before and after. Not necessarily in a bad way, like in a positive way. Looking back, you'll be like, oh yeah, it happened in that year, like we got married in that year, blah blah blah. And so the eclipses repeat every 18 years. 9 years would be the south node. And so you guys had this eclipse, the north node in Aries transit in 2005 and 2006. So if you were old enough back then, like try to remember what happened then in terms of like relationships. Maybe that was like the time when you first had an official relationship, serious relationship. Or maybe that was the time when you became a parent, and now 18 years later, your child is about to graduate high school and go to university. So again, a major milestone in life, right? So these are the themes, like major changes for you guys, like major milestones. And I'm going to make a separate video for the solar eclipse, and I'll try to give more details in that, so make sure you check that out. And then on April 11th, we have the conjunction of the Sun and Mercury retrograde in Aries on the 22nd degree of Aries. And so what this means is that it marks a major point in the Mercury retrograde period. Because you know, Mercury retrograde starts when Mercury goes gets a bit too far away from the Sun. So during retrograde, it starts slowly going back towards the Sun. And so on April 11th, this is when they meet. And then after this conjunction, Mercury will be behind the Sun. It will become like a morning star after its evening star phase. And so this marks an important transition. This is like the time when we gain clarity, but mostly internally, because you know why? Like normally when Mercury is direct and conjunct the Sun, it's like on the other side of the Sun from Earth's perspective. But during retrograde conjunction, it means that Mercury is between the Earth and the Sun. So it's like more like internal. And so whatever understanding you come to, whatever clarity you gain, it will be like from within, okay? And so remember to compromise. I mean, Libras, you guys are expert at this, so it should come easy. And you can expect a lot of passionate speeches around this time, or from like leaders and stuff. And next, on April 19th, the Sun will enter Taurus, as it always does around this time, until like May 19th or 20th. And also, on the same day, Mercury will be conjunct Venus in Aries in your 7th house. So it will be easier to communicate with your partner, like reach an agreement or compromise because of Venus's balancing energy. And so after this, one day after this, we have that exciting major conjunction of Jupiter and Uranus in Taurus on the 21st degree of Taurus. And this conjunction is rare because it happens only once every 14 years. Last time we had this was like Uranus was still in Aries. It was like 2011, I believe. Yeah, and it was like a big thing. Like in my case, for example, I traveled to a place that was like so exciting for me that I never even dreamt of visiting. Like it's like this is the kind of energy. And for you, dear Libras, this is happening in your 8th house. 8th house is the house of your partner's money. It's a house of shared resources. It's a house of other people's money, like banks, loans, mortgage, that kind of stuff. And also, it's also the house of psychology, like a deep intimacy. Like this is a house where you start sharing your deep secrets with your partner. In the 7th house, it's mostly like romantic, flirty, but then in the 8th house, it's where things get serious. And so, yeah, you will have this conjunction in that house. So, and it should be a positive conjunction because, you know, Jupiter is involved. And whenever Jupiter is present, it's like it brings positive expansion. Whatever Jupiter touches becomes bigger. And Uranus is a planet of technology, innovation, futuristic stuff, science, avant-garde, like those things become bigger. And so, that should be exciting. And dear Libras, its house is also the house of investment. So if you are into that stuff, I think that this would be like a good time to try investing in like science, technology stuff. Because Jupiter's expansive energy is present in there. But like I wouldn't say take me seriously on the investment advice because like I'm still learning that, like the financial astrology. So time will show. Next, on April 21st, Sun in Taurus will be squaring Pluto in Aquarius, secondary. So like exactly one day after that exciting conjunction, like adventurous conjunction, bold changes, we have this a bit of a crappy party pooper aspect. It's mostly about like power struggles. It's not something that's gonna like ruin the excitement of that big conjunction. No, it's not like that. This is more like a minor annoyance, and thankfully, this is a very short lived aspect. It's going to be active for like 3 days maximum. And then on April 23rd, we have that full moon in Scorpio, on the 4th degree of Scorpio. And so, dear Libras, this is your second house. So, this full moon is very much about finances. The sun will be shining in your 8th house, the full moon will be illuminating your 2nd house. So, it's about like my money, my partner's money, like how we share resources. It's like about balancing. And it can also be about the values of your partners, because second house is not only about finances, it's also about our values, like my values, my partner's values. And so yeah, like, and also remember, full moons are the times of like illumination, clarity, understanding, achievement. So maybe something about your finances coming into a culmination, or maybe you'll gain some clarity regarding your finances. Maybe there will be some understanding, okay, illumination. So those are the major themes. And so, dear Libras, this is also the first full moon after the Libra lunar eclipse in March, and so sometimes the effects of that eclipse tend to play out during the next full moon. So if nothing happened to you in March, then you might expect those things, the eclipse events, to play out around this full moon. And also remember that generally during full moon times, all of us are emotional, all of us are moody, like our emotions are like on maximum. And remember, like we are like 60 something percent made of water, right? And the moon influences tides, so that's why we are influenced by lunar cycles. And emergency workers, policemen, they know that around full moon times people tend to act crazy. Even the word lunatic comes from the word luna, right? The moon. And so, yeah, be patient with others and be patient with yourself around this full moon. And next, what else did I forget to mention? Oh, also, a lot of the times, like, I mean, some Libras have placements in Scorpio. Like, let's say your Mercury in Scorpio or your Venus in Scorpio. Then you, if you have them, if you have one of those planets around the 4th degree of Scorpio, then you are going to feel this full moon much more than other Libras. And on April 25th, Mercury finally goes direct in Aries. Yes, no more misunderstandings, miscommunications surrounding relationships. That period is over, and hopefully you will have resolved whatever misunderstandings you had during the Mercury retrograde eclipse. Not Mercury retrograde eclipse, during Mercury retrograde transit. And what else do I need to mention? So as soon as Mercury turns direct, I would say don't jump to signing agreements, contracts. It's still not a good time, even though Mercury turned direct. Mercury will be in its shadow zone for a week or for a couple of weeks. And so I would say, if you can, try to wait until mid-May or at least May, and then you are fine. Like, you can go ahead and sign those and purchase new electronics and stuff. And then on April 29th, Venus will leave Aries and enter Taurus until May 23rd. And so Venus will leave your house of relationships and enter the house of intimacy, shared resources, finances. So dealing with finances, shared resources will become much easier. It will go much smoothly. And what was I gonna say? So 8th house, and also because 8th house is the house of your partner's money, partner's finances. Venus's presence in there will bring like good finance, like will make your partner's finances well during that period. And after that, on April 30th, Mars will enter Aries until June 9th. This will be exciting because Mars will bring its like hyperactive energy, get things done energy into your house of relationships. Yeah, so your relationship will be much more active. Maybe you'll be out and about with your partner much more. Maybe there will be more arguments. Yeah, because that is the nature of Mars. When it's bored, it starts arguments. So, dear Libras, be mindful of that. In May, your partner might be much more hyperactive, even if they are not Aries. It doesn't matter. Yeah, like Mars's energy will do that. Okay, and so, dear Libras, this is it for the month of April. Remember that we have Mercury retrograde in your house of relationships and then a solar eclipse in your house of relationships. Later on, you will have that conjunction of Uranus and Jupiter in your house of finances, shared resources, and finally, you will have a full moon in Scorpio in your financial house. So, as you can see, April is about like relationships and finances. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please like and subscribe, and I hope to see you guys in my solar eclipse video and in my May video. Bye!